Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's video 44 coming at you with another video. All right. I just got to watching the Laker game, and I actually got a chance to watch the majority of the game because I had a link that was actually working for the most part. So that was a positive. All right. So that game to me, to be completely honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, that game to me felt like the type of game where as soon as it starts, you know something's not right. The energy in the arena, the energy of the team is just not right, and it's tense. And you know what it's about. It's that 75 list. We all know it's that 75 list. Now I don't know if what transpired tonight was a direct conversation about the 75 list. I certainly doubt that. But the energy, the overall energy, the intensity, and the tension that ultimately led to the events of this evening, we know it started. It starts and ends there, and all of the conversations that are going on surrounding that damn thing. I thought the timing of the list was bad. Um, I thought that it was kind of poking the bear in a way at the timing of the list. Even though I know that they're celebrating 75 years, I get it. Started their 75th season, but I just understand that five of those guys, four out of the five guys that should have been on the list, one of them was snubbed, are all on the same team, and one of those five guys is arguably the GOAT. So it's like that. You know you're gonna create an environment on one of or several of these teams when you have guys who are supposed to be on that list in theory not making that list. Uh, you left one guy out from the team. It's like, and the sad thing about it is his resume is better than some of his teammates' resumes. So that creates an environment um, that the league or whomever put this together is responsible for. To be completely honest with you. So what we saw tonight, as it turned out, was Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard having a disagreement on the bench that got a little physical. Um, AD approached Dwight Howard uh, on the bench as Dwight was sitting down, walked up to him, was demonstrative in his face. Of course, we don't know what was said. Hovering over him, and as AD was getting up, as Dwight, was getting up, AD put his hands on his forearms and pushed him back down. Like, nah, you ain't about to get up in this situation. So, further escalation to continued later on. Those guys kind of having a conversation. It seemed civil, but it was demonstrative as well, where they were face to face. So, and eventually they were separated by Phil Handy at that time. So clearly, whatever's going on with them is not good. Um, but that tension, it can come from a lot of things. But the one constant is the understanding and the timing of this list, and the fact that Dwight Howard wasn't a part of it. And I saw Dwight Howard's energy at the beginning of the game. You could tell he was extra perturbed, even though he seemed like he's been kind of on edge anyway since coming here. Getting into it with players, getting into foul trouble, just kind of, like I said in the previous video, uh, doing a lot to bring attention to himself in terms of the referees. And I alluded to that. I wanted him to play with more um, championship understanding, like get back into that mode, get back into that Dwight Howard that was helpful for our team. Because the guy that he's become, I guess, in Philly is somebody who's kind of just erratic, all over the place, kind of doing too much, but having it not as, you know, centered, I guess you can say. And, that's not a good thing. That's not the Dwight Howard we need. We need Dwight Howard to be, um, focused. And I think this list hurt that. I think this list hurt that a lot. Keeping him off of that list was disrespectful. Um, I think most people would, including most of the media, because he was the main name they were talking about, and I don't think that helped either, because this is somebody who was spoken about by the media a lot back in his Orlando days, and he's past that at this point, and it's like now this morning he sees himself on as the number one topic for being snubbed. It's like as if he needed a reminder. It's just a lot. It's a lot, and I get it. I don't know how AD feels. Maybe he feels a bit uncomfortable about how all this is going, being that he's on this team as well with these guys, and he made the team. It's a lot of that that could be possible because of that damn list. That's all I'm really saying. I'm not saying none of that is going on. I'm saying because of that list, all of this could be possible. You know what I mean? All of this is an elephant in the room, and it's like I just think the league shouldn't have did it. I think they shouldn't have did it. And I do 100% think that whatever happened tonight is a direct reflection of it. So, back to the game itself. Is there much good to say about that game? Yeah, some things. The fourth quarter of the game had gotten out of hand. We were down by as much as 30, and we did find a way to cut it and make it respectable at the end. LeBron James was efficient with his three-point shot early on. So we saw some good things. Russell Westbrook was attacking in some cases, but forcing it in others, doing some very, very untimely things. And that was something that I kind of was a little frustrated about just in general. Things were not going right for us in the second quarter. It had gotten to a point where a 10-point lead had turned to a 15-point lead for the Suns. And it seemed to me that the Lakers were just, doing everything to hurt themselves. But to me, it's like Russell Westbrook found himself in a situation where he took a charge, or rather committed a charge. And it just seemed like because everything else is messing up around you, the last thing you want your point guard to do is to just barrel into somebody. It's like, it's literally the complete opposite of a momentum three or a momentum dunk. You know how guys, your momentum's going so well, you hit a couple shots and then all of a sudden somebody does a spectacular dunk. Now the arena's going crazy. It's at its highest peak. These type of plays are literally the opposite. When everything's going wrong, you've missed shots, you've messed up defensive plays, it called some fouls on the other end, and then you do this, barrel into somebody just in an errant way. And it's like, not to say that your mistake was any more or less of a mistake than the mistakes that were made by others, but that type of mistake at that moment was just the worst possible thing, because it's in a situation where it sent your game from being a struggle to then just being completely out of hand. And I think that's what it is. It's about what you do and when. And sometimes that's unfair. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of things that lead up to that. But like I said, when you're a momentum player, tends to do good things for momentum, you can also have an adverse effect on momentum when you make mistakes. And I think Russell Westbrook is kind of nestled in that energy as it pertains to his energy on the basketball floor. He's just great for momentum and he's terrible for it. And I think that's something I'm starting to just kind of experience and discover watching him play tonight. So I want to see him kind of get it together in that way. And like I said, I'm not worried about Russell Westbrook. He's more than proven. And there were some things tonight that I just think he'll do better. He didn't finish well tonight. It was a lot of driving to the basket and not connecting. Now, I have not touched on the officiating because that's an entirely different 10 minutes of this video. So I'm avoiding that part on purpose. But regardless of whether Russell was getting the calls or not, I think he wasn't driving to the basket to finish. He was driving to the basket to draw, and I just think that's the wrong way to go. There were some plays down the stretch of the basketball game that I did not like, even though we were in the midst of coming back. Jay Crowder is not the guy to leave open. I understand we were dejected. The game was out of hand, but we were in striking distance. I think we were down maybe, 9 at that time. And it was just a situation where Jay Crowder didn't have anybody run at him or nothing with any urgency. And I just felt like with the 2 minutes or so left on the clock, down by 9 or so, 11, whatever it was, we were still in striking distance. You know what I mean? It is still time to fight. Frank Vogel left you guys on the floor as the starters. I don't need to see you guys looking at Jay Crowder like he's like the defense looks at Russell Westbrook. That's not who Jay is. Jay hits threes well enough to not ever do that at all. And that's just something I didn't like. I know Jay didn't like it because I see how he reacted to hitting the shot. He went down on the other side and was like, really getting in his own head, very appreciative of the fact that he hit the shot because was disrespected by the defense, and I didn't think it was a disrespect towards him. I think it was just laziness on the part of our team. Honestly, that's how I took it. So I didn't like that. And then after that, Reeves went down and hit a three. It's like we're still in this. You know what I mean? And I guess that's the best thing I can say about that. Reeves came in, played some fantastic minutes for us. He did. He came in and did exactly what we wanted him to do. Compliment the stars, play hard, regardless of who's doing what around you. You make sure you remain professional. You make sure you do your job with the minutes you're given. And I felt like he was one of the most sound professionals on the floor out there for the Los Angeles Lakers. He really did his job. You know, I like what I saw out of Bazemore early. I wish I would have saw more out of him at the end. I don't know what happened there. And I think because we're kind of messing around with the lineups, we're kind of not really just doing things that kind of work for us. We're more so trying things. So what I did like also was Frank Vogel had a short lineup out there at the end of the game. We had gotten out-rebounded very badly, as I pointed out, with leaving AD down there as the center. I know the whole world loves it, but I'm telling you, AD don't rebound well enough for that. I'm telling y'all. And we saw that tonight in several situations down the stretch where he was just flat out getting out-rebounded. I like the fact that Frank Vogel made a substitution very quickly to put LeBron James back in the game, substituted Rajon Rondo, because those are the type of things that ultimately killed us in the first game and in the preseason. You just can't go with those little bitty lineups. You need size on the floor. AD is not a center. Why is he not a center? Because he does not rebound well. Period. We need to absorb that truth because it's not going to translate in the stats. He's going to walk away with 10 rebounds, 7 rebounds, 8 rebounds. Why? Tip ins, easy boards, stuff like that. He's going to pull down boards just off the strength of his length and his talent. But I'm telling you, when it comes to him boxing out other people, when it comes to him positioning himself and doing the Dennis Rodman thing, it's not there. It's not there. I'm telling you that. And that's what it comes down to. It's not about whether or not we can defend or not. It's about whether or not we can secure rebounds. And the answer is hell no. LeBron James rebounds very well, but not well enough when he's next to AD. And it's between him and AD rebounding against real centers. No, neither one of them are real centers. Let's just keep it real. So, especially at this stage in their careers, I like AD, but his conditioning needs to continue to grow in the direction that it's been going throughout the summer. He's not there yet. He moves too damn slow. I'm just gonna keep it all the way 100 with y'all. I love AD's ability, and his game is not in question, but he's got to continue heading in the direction he's already headed, which is good. He's been doing the right things. Keep at it, because it's all about running the floor. What I liked out of Karl Anthony Towns, as I mentioned in the previous video, this season, the way he's running the floor, the way he looked with the ball in his hands on one sequence, that just showed me everything I need to know about his conditioning in the offseason. AD needs to continue to do the same thing. Run sprints, make them legs work, get faster, because that's ultimately going to be what it's about. You're playing with Russell Westbrook now. The pace is twice as fast. Simple as that. And as he gets more acclimated to what it is that we do, we're going to need people to move at quicker paces. It's that simple. Bron too. Bron is learning. I'm watching him try to keep up with Russell Westbrook. It's a different pace. You got to move. You got to really kick up, because when Russell Westbrook gets the ball in his hand, his mindset is to look up and move forward. He's pushing the ball quicker than everybody else, and that's his game. You know what's really interesting? When I think about players who can play with one another, the style that Lonzo Ball tends to want to play at would be perfect with Russell Westbrook. And in theory, they're not supposed to be able to play with one another, because in theory, they both can't shoot. But we know that Lonzo's shot is really, really good right now. He's turned it all the way around. Not that would ever happen, because he's happy in Chicago. That's a good spot for him, better spot than anything we got going on over here that we would offer him. What I'm saying is just in terms of style of play, when I'm thinking about who can keep up with this guy, who thinks the same way in terms of pushing the ball down the floor as quickly, that's who I think of. It's Zoe. Zoe can play at that pace. Zoe can keep up with that pace. Zoe would be able to complement Russell Westbrook very well in the backcourt. He would. It would only be about shooting. And as long as Zoe continues to shoot like this, it would work. If they couldn't, it would not work. But that's not going to happen. That's just me talking. Anyway, so all in all, what else can we talk about tonight? Because there was so much to see. There's a lot of stuff wrong. The officiating. That's really what it is, y'all. Hey, that was the problem to start the game. That's what let things get out of hand. And I'm a Laker fan, so I'm not gonna complain about us not getting foul calls. But Dwight Howard cannot push a guy in his chest on a lob. You just can't let a guy do that. You can't do it. Things get out of hand. Tensions will run high when a man is going up for a lob and another man puts his forearm in his stomach and chest area to push him down to the ground as he's going up. That can't happen. And that's exactly what the referees allowed out there tonight on one particular play. There was a lot of stuff like that where guys were just getting kicked around and hacked around. I do understand that they have to put an emphasis on the changes that they've made in terms of paying attention to who's doing what, shooting, kicking their legs forward. All of that is an emphasis because they must get those new rules right. But at the end of the day, it cannot come at the detriment to the rest of the game being officiated properly. And that's exactly what I sense is happening out there. You're paying too much attention to these rule changes and not enough attention to the regular stuff. Guys are getting hacked out there and they're getting frustrated. That should not have happened. It was a lot of that going on out there. It was a play at the end with Reeves shooting a three-point shot, got clobbered on a three, no whistle. It was egregious. And it was time and time again where we saw plays like that. And it made you wonder what the hell's going on. Sometimes games are like, it's an off night. And then other games you're sitting there, you wonder, what's going on? Are they controlling the situation? Is this something? I don't know. But I saw some plays out there that were clearly them swallowing their whistle, and it led to tensions running high. And in my mind, that's the referee's job, is to keep that from happening by calling the plays necessary to ensure it doesn't. So I've been watching basketball for a long time. You don't let a game get out of hand like that. Simple as that. You don't let a game get out of hand like that. So that was poor officiating in my opinion. But it's still early in the season, somewhat of a preseason for everybody because everybody's still getting it. I assume it's the same for them. But I'm sure they're going to be that group of officials will be heard from. I'm sure the league is going to be talking to them very, very soon because they're going to have to explain what the hell happened out there, how some of those plays were just egregiously not called. And even, some of the people, the announcers were speaking up on some of it. It was so egregious in this particular game. It was just like, no, none of that was okay. It was a lot of wrong. So, all in all, good stuff for Phoenix. Now, we can step away from the Lakers and talk about their team. I saw a lot of great stuff out of them. Miles Bridges looked great. But Mikal Bridges always looks great against the Lakers. He tends to torch us. And the thing that makes their team special, in my opinion, is the fact that they have him at their small forward position playing at such a high level in a role. That's the best way I can say. His upside is that of somebody who's much greater than the role that they're offering him. But he's nestled there comfortably in it, and because of it, they have an edge on a lot of teams. It's like they're getting away with murder, having him just in just a little role. This dude can really, really go. And he does it on both sides of the floor, and he does it in subtle ways that don't take away from superstars. As I believe Doris Burke said tonight, I totally agree. He just kind of blends in with whatever you need him to be, and he gets in where he fits in. You don't have to really call a lot of plays for him. He's going to hit open shots. He's going to cut well. He's going to dive to the basket and do things like that. And then on the defensive end, he gets involved in plays. He's played smart, passing lanes, stuff like that. He's just a really, really smart basketball player, and wiry too. Wiry. You can get from one spot to the next really, really quickly. He's pretty strong. So he was able to body guys up tonight. You be physical on Braun tonight, which was something that was pointed out as well. So he stood out. He jumped off the screen like crazy for the Phoenix Suns tonight. I saw some good things out of Cam Payne and Cam Johnson. They both did their thing. As I said, Jay Crowder was hitting shots. He was doing what they needed him to do. Chris Paul looked magnificent. He kept the game under control. When it looked like it was getting out of hand, he settled things down on his end, which is what I want ultimately for our ball handlers to do for us, and we weren't getting that tonight. Ayton did his job, was strong as usual, pulling down boards, dominating things, putting his stamp on this game, and Booker, of course, cooked whoever's in front of him because Booker's one of the best scorers in this game. Kind of forgotten on that Phoenix Suns in some ways, just because of the presence of all of what was going on around him, but all in all, I think Phoenix Suns still sees him as the centerpiece of what it is they're doing. I think now that I've given it more thought, Chris Paul was probably prioritized over DeAndre Ayton because he's a steady back court mate for Devin Booker. It's probably why they prioritized him. But all in all, they do have to have Ayton's money or they're going to lose that kid. So we'll keep our eye on that team. But for now, we're happy to not have to see them again because, quite frankly, it seems like we've been seeing the Warriors and the Suns more than we've seen any teams that we've faced maybe ever outside of a playoff situation. I don't remember having to see two teams this much to start the season, both preseason and season. This has been ridiculous. It's like every other game is these two stupid teams. We're tired of seeing them, like literally. And they keep kicking our butts because we're not running our stuff right. So it's like, can we see somebody else now? Or is it going to be Sacramento next? I'm just like, come on, y'all. Schedule a little better for us, please. But all in all, yeah, that was bad, man. That was bad. The vibes was bad. The game was bad. The effort was bad in some cases from some players. But our youngsters played hard. Russell played hard. I saw some good things out of everybody really in spurts, but bad things more often. Defensive issues as well. We're going to have to find ways of putting ourselves in positions to just be better out there. Just positioning more than anything on both sides of the floor. I noticed something earlier. We kind of had the Carmelo Anthony lined up in a corner, and the double team came to him, and he ran out of real estate and just simply stepped out of bounds. I just think certain little things like that, coaching staff is going to be able to pick up on and kind of arrange our players in different positions to just look better out there. So, yeah, that's the beauty of what I've learned over the years as a fan. Adjustments will take place. That stuff that you saw out there that wasn't working, a good coaching staff is going to take that stuff and scrap it and then have the team doing entirely different things next time. So we'll see different players out there. But I think the most important thing we're going to have to do now is just making sure that we address our rebounding, particularly in the fourth quarter. Obviously, he made the adjustments, as I pointed out, to make sure that we had some size down there. Those little bitty lineups, they just don't work. I'm sorry, they just don't work. So as long as we're going bigger and taking advantage of our size, I think we'll be all right. Now, the momentum that we had in that fourth quarter down the stretch in the last 2.5 minutes or so, we can build on that. That was a 30-point game, and we made it, a 10-point game at the end? So there's momentum to have, to take from that game, and there's some good things to take from that game. What I'm hoping to see is a better aura overall around our team. I know we got some new guys, and as I was saying to myself earlier, sometimes when certain personalities get around other personalities, they act differently. And I think the Lakers may have picked up some of those personalities that make other people act differently. I think we got a couple of those guys on this team that guys want to kind of prove themselves to be hard around. And I just think that when you have this many Hall of Famers, you may have a situation where it might be too many Chiefs, So I hope that we're in a position where we can kind of have guys swallow their pride, refocus on what it is that we're trying to do, put that 75 stupid list behind them because it holds no credibility without Dwight Howard's name, straight up, and just move forward. Because at the end of the day, they screwed themselves. All those people who voted for this list, you got to take a look at some guys' resumes. At the end of the day, you got to look at the full resume before coming to such conclusions, because you can look at the resumes against some of these guys and you can clearly see the politics in the voting. It's blatant. I'm sorry. I like all those players, but we're talking about the greatest players of all time. You got to pick through that more so with a fine-tooth comb than the Hall of Fame, because essentially you're narrowing it down to something even fewer, so it's going to be more to guys. So you can't be that frivolous with just putting it together like this is just the end-all be-all when you know damn well that the numbers don't line up and that the circumstances are just done in bad taste. When 5 of these dudes on the same team, it's just trash, bad taste. But that's what I got to say, man. That's how I feel about it. It did make for good talking points. Like, I like talking about the 75. It's fun. But, it did more harm than good in the short term. Look at what we got going on. You guys are not even happy to play basketball because they're too busy thinking about some stupid list made by some people who are just some people. You know, there's a bunch of other people who have a different opinion. Say those people's opinion is the 75, then that's what we're stand on too. I just don't like the fact that the NBA attached its name to this thing, and then just came up with it at short notice like that. It's just it wasn't done right, in my opinion, not at all. But anyway, so here we are. Lakers are down 0-2 to start the season. No wins in the preseason either. We are struggling and we are frustrated, and guys are proud. So, had we seen some victories in the preseason, I don't know the energy's the same. But because we can't seem to get anything to root about, we're not having anything to celebrate right now. It's just kind of like Hollywood don't feel like Hollywood to guys right now. And I think another thing that's also frustrating, truly, Father Time. Low key. Father Time was frustrating our team tonight. I think there were times out there where guys were really feeling older tonight. You know, I looked at Dwight Howard when Rondo threw that pass in the paint and Dwight had to catch it. It was normally something that he would have lobbed. Even 2 years ago, that's a lob dunk. Now, I think he could have been upset at Rondo for throwing that pass because there was a man underneath him. Man, you know, it's just like anything else. When you, like a quarterback, when you throw certain passes, you know, you put your receiver in harm's way. That put Dwight in harm's way because what he could have did was come down on dude, twist an ankle. A lot of things can go wrong when a man's underneath you. So I thought maybe Dwight was upset at Rondo for throwing that pass for that reason. But I thought maybe he was mad at Rondo for throwing that pass because it used to be a lob and it's not something you can dunk anymore. So I'm not sure. Got two different theories about that situation, but one thing's for sure. That used to be a lob, for sure. Dwight would have dunked that back in the day, and it just, I don't know, it just seemed like guys were just not, they didn't have it. Not everybody had it tonight. But Russell Westbrook was not one of them. He gave us his energy. I just want to see him complete those plays. They're not going to whistle some of those. Make them. You know, it's like Shaq used to be when it came to those plays. You got to make your chippies. I don't care if they're whistling it or not. You count on them to whistle it, it's not going to get you no points. You got to finish those. And if the goal is not to finish those, you messed up. You messed up. So that's how I would approach it if I had any game at all. But anyway, yeah, man, that's what we saying, yo. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully the Lakers and Dwight Howard and AD can kind of work their stuff out. I mean, listen, this isn't the first time they played with one another. So whatever their issues are, they're not something that they have no rapport to work out. These guys have won a championship with one another at this point. So we should be able to get past this. Whatever it is, we should be able to get past it. I know a lot of people are saying, Dwight's going to get traded. Dwight should be careful. He can get traded. Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I'm not gonna dispute that at all. I think the concern tonight for Dwight Howard laying down is I hope I didn't mess up my chance with the Lakers. Because even if Dwight Howard and AD are fine, the perception could be by some of those guys in that front office that, you know, Dwight Howard and AD aren't going to get along. And if that's the case, it ain't going to be a hard decision. Nobody's even going to think about it. So it's like, yeah, I don't think Dwight has to worry about this because I think Dwight's going to make it right. AD seems like a solid dude. He's not somebody hard to get along with, it seems. Whatever their issue is, if it ain't personal, I don't think it's something they can't work out in a matter of 5 minutes. They probably already worked it out if it's something like that. So the media will carry it forward. The media will want to see this turn into something. But knowing these two personalities, this should be a very easy fix. And I don't know these two personalities, but looking at them from afar, you know what I'm trying to say. I just don't think this is something they can't get past if it ain't personal. So, yeah, man. We'll see. Yeah, I think that's about it, man. That's about it. I'm happy with the Lakers ultimately having this much talent. I just want everybody to be able to kind of refocus. And, you know, Frank Vogel needs to breathe because there's a lot of pressure on him right now. And I think the first person people are going to blame is him for the type of rotations that have been kind of put on the floor. But he's trying stuff. It's still early. And we do have some uneven pieces, so we just got to let him work it out. I think we got somewhere tonight in that fourth quarter. So we'll build upon that. Anyway, that's what I got, man. My name is BDO44. Burn the tape, and burn some sage, man. Get the energy right. Get soothing energy. That's what the Lakers need. We need to get a dinner going for the team or something. Just an outing of football or something. That's what the team needs right now, y'all. Put something like that together. Peace.